mean? I'm here, you're here, you know. And apparently we've got a couple of other good-looking guys joining us tonight, too.
Right. We're definitely going to have a Beaver Joe fan lesson on.
Yeah, I've got a party. I feel like I've got some kind of a man harem happening here. Yeah. I like it. And I like it.
I like to think I'm handsome. I like to think that at least.
Love it when that happens.
Anyway, how's this? Go on, guys. It's all good. So why don't you welcome the fine members of our guests for the night?
Absolutely. We've got a couple of great guys in tonight, and they've never joined us before, as far as I know, from the CE5 initiative. Some guys that we met on the Ghost Chat Radio fan page on Facebook, and we've got Roman Cortez Hines, and we've also got Will. And I'm sorry, Will, what is your last name?
Wyatt.
Will Wyatt. One of Roman's right-hand men with his organization, and they're going to tell us a lot more about the organization. Normally what we do is kick off the night with a little bit of weird news stories from around the globe, and Jason and I like to source, various websites to find interesting stories for everybody. And of course, also on Tuesday nights we do Dumbass Trivia, which is the trivia question of the night, and whoever calls in first with the right answer will win either a copy of Jason's amazing book, Unrested Peace, or a Ghost Chat Radio coffee mug. Is that available tonight, Jason?
That is. I can check that out, yeah.
Since I offered up those prizes from your closet, I'm hoping that they are available. And did the person ever get their prize from last week or no?
You never messaged me.
Okay, well, if you're out there, the lady that won last week, please message Jason on Facebook or get in touch with us on the Ghost Chat Radio fan page. And whoever wins tonight, don't forget to collect your prize and sucks to win and not get anything because, we don't do that. I mean, we don't want to. No, we would never do that. So, get in touch with either one of us or... better if you get in touch with Jason since he has the prizes, or on the Ghost Chat Radio fan page, of course, is a great place to get in touch and collect your prize because we would love to give it to you. Absolutely. So, you guys, we're going to kick off with a couple of weird news stories, and you can definitely, join in the fun and feel free to talk about it and share your opinions. We'd love it when we do that. And, Jason, do you want to kick off weird news tonight, or do you want me to kick it off?
I would love to kick it off, but right now I'm outside having a cigarette, so it's on you.
In that case, I'm going to kick it off. Okay, and we're going to first talk about a little story I found on a sometimes reputable, sometimes not so reputable news site, The Mirror, and groped in bed by a ghost. Women, watched this woman who revealed that in terror she was forced to flee her home. And women says she was groped by a ghost on this morning. And they've got a little film clip if you want to find it on the Mirror. This was dated September 10th, 2014. The interviewer was Carl Greenwood, and mother of two, Lorna Bauer, spoke about her ghostly groper on a television show called This Morning. And she reveals how she was forced to flee her home after a ghost groped her. I want to talk about how ghosts are groping them in bed. Do you ever notice, people talk about it, but, where's the evidence of that? I, for one, want to see a video of this. Whenever I talk about people, ghosts groping me in bed, everyone's always like, I want to see pictures, Joe. Jodi, where's the evidence of that? I don't believe you. Do you have a video? I mean, that's the first thing they ask for. Jason asks me every time. Every time I'm just Jason, something touched me. He's like, Jodi, I don't believe that shit. Where is the video? So,
I'm a researcher.
It really is. I mean, he's very scientific. If there's no proof, throw it out. I mean, that's what we always say.
Exactly.
Exactly. So one of ours broke out. I know. So, I mean, I think it's bullshit unless there is actual video footage of groping. So the ghost has left her too terrified to sleep in her own bed and has forced her teenage daughter to move out of the family home. When the family first moved into the 25-year-old house a few years ago, mirrors would shake on the walls, and a vase mysteriously fell from a window, but then the phantom fondler kicked it up a gear. Objects would be dropped, doors would slam, and 2 pairs of scissors mysteriously appeared in the shape of a cross on her television set. But the worst was yet to come. She did say that she was told by a psychic that there was a 5-year-old boy who was in the house before she went there. This is what she explained on the show that she was on that morning. But she knew there was no 5-year-old boy because a 5-year-old boy certainly wouldn't do the things that he was doing, she said. And her voice was cracking with emotion. She was, starting to cry. Then as the ever-professional Philip Schofield, the interviewer, delved into the mystery further of what this ghostly terror did to her, she even revealed that it has she described it as fluttering on her skin. She explained, in her own words, it was fluttering on my skin and pressure marks on my body, moving up towards, further up my legs, in a sexual manner. The experiences have been so terrifying for her that she's fled her house several times to stay in her neighbor's camper van. It's very scary. I've run out of my house many a time, she says, and neighbors have left the camper van open for me to go to sleep in there in case I got too scared. I think her neighbors are creepers. They just want her to run over there. This morning has promised to send in a group of paranormal investigators to help Lorna free herself from this nighttime terror. Well, that is very nice of them. I definitely think they should send someone over there to investigate. So this is the whole story. Again, if you'd like to see it, this was featured on the Mirror, Mirror.com and on Mirror TV. There are actually 2 different videos of Lorna, speaking about it. So if you'd like to see it live, I'm sure I can go ahead and post it on the Chat Radio fan page as well. So what do you think about that, you guys?
It is something that we innately are born into as well, to where we ingrained that into our being. And so in engaging in fear, we kind of release a lot of our power that we have. When we engage in this fear, but when we engage in this fear, we consciously accept fear, and when we do that, we give away our own power. We're all spiritual, we're all conscious people, and when we hand over our energy, our state of being over to fear, then that's what becomes of us. So, I think that's the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about that incident, of course. I think fear is something that we have a hard time coming to terms with and understanding that there's really nothing to fear but fear itself. And that we have more power within than we think, Yeah. But I don't have a whole lot of experience dealing with paranormal. All of this is paranormal, but in regards to ghosts, but I do know that we're all connected as one, and I'll talk about this later, and I'll tie in the whole spiritual and with the ghost and with the whole conscious aspect of this reality this physical reality that we come quite fond of, But in fact, there is a unifying field here. We're not just spinning our wheels here, and we're not just jumping from one thing to the next. There is actually a linkage. There is actually a connection between all things. And once you understand this connection, it allows you to release this inner indoctrinated fear that's given to you freely when you come into this world. So, that's my thoughts on it, is that also that, you can also infer that a lot of those spirits, who are, conscious just like we are, of course, otherwise they wouldn't be able to exist. They are able to sense vibration or this state of being that you are within you. And if it's fearful, I'm pretty sure that they can sense that. And there is no word to say that you're scared. It's a vibration. It's the universal spiritual language. And so that is why I say when you engage in fear, you've already given up your power.
Sure. I absolutely agree that we're all connected by universal vibration. I really like the way that you stated that. And I definitely have come into contact with spirits, although I've never had one try to grope me in the night. I've absolutely had fear on a couple of occasions, you know what I mean, in places that I wasn't familiar with, and dealing with paranormal things, you know, in places that I wasn't familiar. So, you know, that can definitely happen, you know, to anyone for sure. Although I'm not so sure that I believe that this woman was, you know, groped in her home. Who am I to say that she wasn't? You know, maybe she was. You know, I don't know.
Who knows? You know, it's you know, whenever people, you know, voice their opinion on things, one thing to voice their opinion on things, but it's another to have supporting evidence and facts behind it, and you know, able to reproduce it. You know, it's the scientific method. You know, we can reproduce it, and you can do it scientifically, and you can get the same result over and over again, then you can pretty much accept it as a fact, or at least as a phenomenon, you know. So I agree with you. Definitely, you do. It's one thing to subjectively convey your experiences, relate it and tell someone your experiences, but it's another that evidence of it, and it's another to be able to reproduce it, or you know.
Yeah, and that's a very valid point. I'm sure Jason will have something to say about that, because he's so about the evidence and being able to reproduce it is, I mean, that's huge, and we often can't always reproduce it. I mean, sometimes something only happens once, and we can't always explain it, and we can't always reproduce it. But if we can capture some sort of evidence, or you know, in multiple ways, especially, that's when it's really interesting. You know. Hey, sorry, back.
I'm back. I'm here.
Oh, good. Yay.
I'm here. I did look over that particular news report, and based on the evidence that I have so far, they found out. Experts just had this, and what's going on? I can't hear anything.
I can't hear Jason. Jason, your sound is cutting out.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know why. Is that better?
Oh, that's much better, yeah.
It's intermittently going out, in and out. It's intermittently going out, in and out. Basically, I mean, what I'm saying is, I mean, based on what I've seen and the way she's presenting herself in a photo for a news reporter, I don't think she's getting laid much, and that's
why I was poking fun. That's why and I don't want you guys to think I'm so mean that I always make fun of people, because I really don't. I really, really don't. That's why I was kind of poking fun at this story. Yeah.
But if that's the case, she might be making up this particular story to try to make herself more desirable. I don't know, but I think there's an opportunity. So I don't think she's being groped by some ghost, and I don't see it happening. I don't see any ectoplasm left on her chin or anything like that. It's just somebody who's looking for attention, and that's just my opinion.
I thought so. I think she's someone looking for attention, too, and I frankly think she's really enjoying the option of running next door to the camper bus.
She just might be looking for a paranormal team to come in and help her rub one off one night. I don't know.
Oh, my.
Wow. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, no. Yeah, I think she was a little desperate for attention. But, you know, we'll see what everyone else thinks when they read the story. But, you know, again, I don't see her really offering any real evidence there. I just see her talking, you know, she's telling a tall tale. she's telling it, I don't want to say a tall tale, she's telling a tale, but she isn't really offering us any credible evidence, or tangible evidence, I should say, I guess.
Nothing. She's not offering anything.
No.
The damn thing, she's just saying, look, this is what happened. He touched me. She didn't touch that.
I think I'm going to cry like that and go on a new story. It touched me. We'll record that later.
Let's get into some other news, shall we?
Yeah.
The news report that we failed to mention yesterday because we ran out of time. The devil-worshipping cults and sword-wielding men in Rhodes, the truth about demons that live in our homes. This is coming from the Mirror again, and the lady in the picture is just like the lady who's getting growth, to be honest with you. Yeah, I have no idea how credible this one is, but we'll take it as a grain of salt and go from there. It says the paranormal experts have shed more light on instances in the area of Liverpool where one resident claims a demon was occupying their spare room. The paranormal experts seem to say complicated can occupy our homes and their dark satanic history. Liverpool residents want an account with what's living in fear due to bizarre occurrences at her home, which led her daughter moving out, and Mrs. McDonald rocking up bedroom tap chairs. I swear to God, this picture of Cliff, the same one who's doing good.
It does, and they have different last names. Same first name, different last name. But they're very similar looking.
They are. She claimed to have seen demonic shapes and mirrors flying off the wall. An expert, Tom Sloman, told the Liverpool Echo he believes this could be the case, with the Belleville area having a very dark history. The whole area of Crown South Brook Road, where Mrs. McDonald lived, has quite a dark satanic history, he said. South Brook Road derives its name from Childwell Brook, which once ran through the road on which 34 houses are now built. And the house, which is reported to be the lair of the demon, is situated on land which once belonged to the Ivy Farm. Just one of the infamous spots for a sinister and ancient band of occultists known as the Little White Boys. Why do they got to be white boys? That's racist, man. Did you really just say really white boys?
Yes, they're the Little White Boys.
They used to hold bonfires.
These are really weird guys tonight.
They are, that. Anyway, the early white boys used to hold their bonfire rituals on this road. According to Tom, really had some sacred relevance to the early white boys, an obscure cult that is said to predate Christianity and practices animal and, on one occasion, child sacrifice. The area also includes a tract of forbidden land known as Bloody Acre, which has been the scene of some strange rituals, including one in 1554 when Anne Whitfield, aged just 9, was married to 10-year-old Thomas Fletcher. The motives behind the marriage were alleged to be financial, but the Reverend who conducted the service doubted this. The local landowner of great influence visited the clergyman and warned him to mind his own business, said Tom. Not long after this, were reports of frenzied naked people.
Were you having a party there, Jason?
That's what it seems like. The frenzied naked people dancing around a huge bonfire on uncultivated land near Childwell Brook, and witnessed several demonic figures even appeared in the flames of the fire. I can't know this. This is all right. Chase basically out and worked up along the road, and all this lady saying there's demons in her house.
Well, apparently there have been many witnesses over the years who've had close encounters, supposedly, with these little white boys. From policemen to an ARP warden, people have investigated it.
Wow.
You know, it says they were violating blackout regulations one night in recently as 1941, And the warden said he got the shock of his life when he came upon a circle of men brandishing swords and, hoods resembling a human body burning in the flames, and he ran for his life. In the 1990s, though, more recently, though, this one gets, that's weird. Police chased one sword-wielding Williams leveler down the Valley Road, but he managed to escape capture by leaping clean over 5-foot railings. So, I mean, that's weird. Wow. So they're saying that there is, that this veiled demon is merely the latest manifestation of an ancient supernatural menace. I mean, maybe, who knows? It's very strange, strange goings on, which have been happening from the 16th century to present day.
Yes. Again, I just posted it. Both of those news reports are now on the FN page, so anybody can go check them out and compare to yourself. I mean, both pictures of these witnesses and all of these stories are pretty much all identical. So.
It's weird. It is weird. It is really weird. Hey, Jason, we're losing your sound again.
I think there's a connection between the Gilpin and the Satan worshiping really white boys. More of a badass name,
Yeah.
The really white boys? I mean, holy shit. You just might as well put tutus on it and have it dance around. What the fuck?
Come on. I don't know. I'm going to send a comment into the mirror and ask them why both of these ladies look so similar. I'm going to cast doubt on that. I'm going to write a letter to the editor.
You should have read it right backwards. I would have enjoyed that a lot more.
All right, those were funnier and weirder than usual.
Yeah. It's all good, though. But we'll go back then.
It's good. All right, I mean, we have a couple more minutes, and I have a short one that we could do. We might as well. So this is really interesting, and this is a much more credible story, which is featured on actually a more scientific, the Sky News HD, world's first message sent from brain to brain, which I thought this was kind of cool. So, technology site, it's a technology article. Researchers send messages from India to France a distance of 5,000 miles without performing any invasive surgery. And they actually show a picture of someone with this, whole sort of a skull cap with pins in it wrapped around their head. And it says it's a new technique known as something I can't pronounce, encephalography, something, recorded thoughts. It's a file picture. In a world first, a team of researchers has achieved brain-to-brain transmission of information between humans. So it's kind of cool. The team managed to send messages from India to France, a distance of 5,000 miles. They didn't do any kind of surgery on the test subjects, and there were 4 participants in the study aged between 28 and 50 years old, and one was assigned to a brain-computer interface to transmit the thought, while the 3 others were, I love it.
Conscious interface technology. By the way, we're actually touching on something that our government, really deep black, has already figured out how to do. It's mighty strange that you guys are bringing this up, but this is actually an element of part of the CD5 process. I have to be careful on how I approach it. I have to make sure that I cover all areas, but just a little sneak peek. This actually is a part of the technological technology when we're actually interfacing, because we're really going to be talking about the CD5, of course, but when we're interfacing with their craft. By the way, any interstellar civilization that's making its way to our corner of the galaxy, a very small one, immensely small compared to our universe, has technologies that interface with consciousness live, because nothing can traverse that vastness of space without moving faster than the speed of light. But the thing is, when you move faster than the speed of light, something happens. And Einstein went on the record one time saying that you can't move faster than is 100,000 light years away. All right? And the most we've ever traveled is the speed of sound. That's just, that's as far as we've ever traveled. So that being said, that's too slow to traverse the universe, just our galaxy. So let's just say you could travel at the speed of light. Well, the speed of light is 186,000 miles per second. Think about that. 186,000 miles per second. 186,000 miles per second. 186,000. 186,000 miles per second. So you have to do that for a whole year just to traverse one light year. Only problem is there's 99 left. And so obviously, if you're having a UFO site, you notice these extraterrestrials aren't 100,000 years old, which they would have to be older than that to make it to even get to our galaxy. But sure. So you notice they're moving faster than the speed of light, but here's the thing, how are they communicating? Well, they're not communicating with cell phones. Obviously, cell phones are moving at the speed of sound, right? We know that. And obviously, they're not using light phones either. They're using something that's interfacing with consciousness. And that's how they're traversing the vastness of space. And they're not moving linearly like we think, from home to the A to B, that's a linear path. They're not moving that way. They're floating time and space, and they're going through dimensions. That's why they're transdimensional. And so this is why consciousness is a very major integral tool in making contact, and it's very important that we explain consciousness, because it's also the reason behind the deficit of the human consciousness towards one another, because it's also delves into science, and it deals with metaphysics, and it deals with physics. It's all interrelated. Why? Because truth is not discriminatory of all events and all facts. All truth comes together like one big grand puzzle. You see, you can't exclude one element of truth without talking about all elements of truth. And so this is why it's all connected. And so this deficit in understanding of consciousness is also one of the reasons. Let me know if I'm getting ahead of myself. I just totally ambushed you guys. But I'm sorry, I'm very passionate about this. But the only problem is this deficit has been responsible for a lot of the misunderstanding as it comes to life. Because, QE5 is our primary focus, but we can't be incognizant of the preliminary understanding needed before engaging in QE5. We have to understand that before you can even think about engaging in QE5, which is, by definition, close encounters of the fifth kind, coined by Dr. Stephen Beer. Now, all those other ones, 1 through 4, were coined by J. Allen, who was an astronomer and a scientist, I believe. But little did he know that there would be a man named Dr. Beer coming along and would develop the Rosetta Stone for contact, is what they like to say. But yeah, so and this is part of this reason. It is also the reason why Area 51 was called Dreamland, because those technologies actually interface with consciousness. Okay, this is why it was called Dreamland. That consciousness is a very integral part. Now let's talk about consciousness for a second. All right. Consciousness is actually everything that you see around you. There is nothing that you can see with the eye that is not conscious. I know that we've been taught the contrary, that inanimate objects are in fact just that, inanimate, and there's no consciousness to them, that they're just objects. And this is part of the reasons why we weren't really making gains in physics, is because we always thought the universe to be inert. But the fact is that there's more dimensions and more realms than meets the eye, or more things than the eye can see. And everything is alive and conscious. Why? Because we know that all things are made up of atoms. We know this. From the chair that you're sitting in to the ground that you're walking on, it's composed of atoms. Why? How do we know this? This is science. Okay, everything is composed of atoms. All right, but the only thing is, when you go towards the atom, you get to the structure, and you go down to the particles, and you get to the atom, and then you see that this atom is composed of electrons floating outwardly, and then you have the protons and the neutrons on the inside of the atom. And then, but when we go beyond the subatomic level, subatomic, you get to this really abstract area. An atom is 99.9% empty. Most people don't know that. That's a fact. It's a fun fact. An atom is 99.99999. I'm not lying. I'm not kidding you. 99.99999% empty. But what is this emptiness? Well, we've discovered that there were parts in there. But we're getting down to the realm of abstraction and string theory. This is where we're getting at strings. There's a bunch of strings. It's not hard to understand. It's vibratory. It's vibratory strings. And so what we're getting to is the understanding behind the makeup of all things. But what is this vibration? Well, this conscious intelligence, this advanced consciousness. What is this? Well, this is the substance of life. This is where we come from. This is the nature of all things. All things are conscious. And this consciousness is in all of us, and it's in everything around us, and it makes up this physical place we call reality. Now, I know that this reality is so elaborate, very elaborate. We've grown accustomed to it from birth, and we walk on it, and we breathe it, and we drink it. And little do we know that the construct of it is just really consciousness. And so that everything rises in vibrations from this abstract, limitless realm, this limitless realm of possibility. And so we have this elaborate universe, which is also constructed from attraction. Okay? We have dark matter, black matter, attracting each other, and it's constructing. It's almost like a construction. An intelligent force is constructing until you get atoms, until you get these particles and rocks and things, and then pretty soon you have a sun, and now you're still attracting particles, and you're creating a universe. A galaxy. And so everything is attracting, so it's this center. And so this is the nature of all things, that it attracts, and that it, at its core, it's conscious. And so you have to relate that to consciousness, because we're conscious too. And so you have to understand that when we talk about meditation, which is an integral part of CE5, because we do meditation during our CE5, meditation, by definition, is the expansion of human consciousness towards the deeper realms of spirituality. All right? Spirituality, that is a term a lot of people use. Okay? So when you're expanding your consciousness or your spirituality, ghosts and things, no, I'm just kidding. When you expand your consciousness, what you're doing, in fact, what you're doing is you're tapping into this part of yourself that belongs towards the greater whole. And there's a saying that goes, think of yourself puny when the universe is literally folded within me. And that's true. We can take that for its word, because, we literally are the universe come alive, and there is nothing else. I mean, the idea that there is not one consciousness, there is not two consciousness or three consciousness. It's just one source for consciousness, and we all come from it. And so that will also make us a part of this consciousness. And we're starting to see the anatomy of it in physics. We're starting to see, okay, well, there was an experiment where they shot these atoms through these vector points, and what they found out, all of this experiment was done in different countries, when they shot the atoms through these vector points, they noticed that they went through the same spot every time. But, however, whenever there was an observer looked at the atom as it crossed through the extraction for the vector point, they noticed that the atom were actually responding to the observer. I don't have the full literature on this, but you can look this up. But when they were shot through, depending on, I guess, what the observer was either feeling or thinking, the atom was responding to the observer.
So wait, when was this done? Was this something that was done by your organization or just by a scientific?
It's funny how science all corroborates the truth. It's funny because when you're speaking about the truth, you don't have to prove it because other corroborating inadvertently sources will inadvertently corroborate the truth. And so this is how you are able to tell the truth. Is when you're able
that is sometimes true. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And so this is what happened. These items were shot to this exit point, to these exit points. And what was going on is that they were responding. And so what does that mean, though? That means that there is a connection. There is a reaction between our consciousness and the consciousness around us. And this also gets into other stuff like the law of attraction, which is very real. It gets into that as well. And your state of being, in your state of being, which, by the way, changes. Okay? You can wake up happy one day, and then based off of another person's negativity or even positivity, most people, by nature, allow themselves to allow other people's vibration, because that's what it is at its core, it's a vibration, which is a lower vibration. And we allow that vibration to affect us, but what happens when that vibration, we come in contact with another person of a lower vibration, most of the time we allow their negativity to change our state of being, hence change our vibration. And so, but when you do that, you're also sending a message out consistently to the universe. Now you're saying, hey, I'm upset now. I don't believe in myself. I'm upset. I'm angry. And so what does that do? That means that the universe is conforming back to your state of being. Okay? Why? Because the way the universe is designed is that the universe doesn't hate us. It actually loves us. Why? Because we are the universe. And the universe doesn't punish us for doing wrong. It doesn't punish us for doing good deeds. It doesn't reward us no more than just all it does. See, we are the universe, and we're experiencing life, see, in this physical body. All right? And so what's going on is that, okay, let's just say you're immature. Let's just say you're a negative individual. Well, as long as you're negative, and as long as you're hanging around those people, and that's the company you like to keep, well, guess what? You're going to always attract that same circumstance, because that is what you're creating within your space-time bubble. You're creating your reality based off your state of being. Now, there is a time ratio, a time lapse for the state of being. We wouldn't be able to handle it if we were thinking about one thing and it manifested instantaneously. There's a time lapse. And so there's this percentage of time that takes for you to keep something on your state of being that allows it to manifest. This is where a lot of people get frustrated and upset, and they say, okay, well, I've been walking around and having a good state of being, and then, but I still can't get the job I want, I can't get the partner that I want, I can't, seem to get what I want. Well, most people are incognizant of how much their state of being changes throughout the day. Most people don't even realize that. Mm-hmm. It changes a lot. I mean, from the time you get out of bed to you get in your car and now someone's cutting you off, to the time you go to work and somebody's saying something to you that you don't like, to the time you're on lunch and you're telling you to get back here in 30 minutes, I mean, it changes. It changes a lot. But what we have to do is train ourselves to maintain a positive state of being, because, in fact, other people's negativity has no bearing over us. And that whenever you encounter this negativity of this person, it's rather funny when you think about it, because what the psychology of it is that you're happy, but then now you're encountering this negative person, and what they're doing is they're telling you, anybody that's upset and negative has to first manifest that anger first. So what they're doing is they're trying to convey that anger to you. They want you to buy into it. The funny thing is they've already bought it. They're trying to sell it to you. They're trying to sell you that anger. And so it's actually pretty funny somebody who walks in with an attitude and they're angry because they're trying to hurt you. But it's actually funny because you already know who you are. You're a happy individual. And so you just smile and you say, hey, well, I hope things get better for you. But you don't buy into that negativity because when you do that, you're losing. And you're also hurting them too. That's the whole law of attraction thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're all one. And one of the important aspects of this oneness is this aha moment, this understanding that, under the understanding that we're all one, there's this type of love that compels us to be a little bit more sensitive towards one another, a little more congenial, a little more loving, accepting, the ability to see ourselves in other people. And this is part of ourselves that is our highest self. And it's what's needed today, of course. But yeah, but we've gotten off track here on planet Earth. I mean, we've engaged ruthlessly in this lifestyle of separation based off of superficial appearance, character, the way we can relate to people. Love is not the ability to relate to people. Love is simply the ability to see yourself in other people. It's your ability to respect and to understand that within that individual is you. And so this is the evolution of the consciousness needed to actually partake in CE5. You have to understand that we're all one. Why? Because these extraterrestrials who are so advanced, not just technologically, but they're spiritually advanced. All right, they're consciously more advanced than us because one, they don't buy into fear, and then two, they've already surpassed this whole superficial thought of separation. Right? They know and understand that at our core, we are simply one. And this is the preliminary understanding before and diving into CE5. Most people, they're like, okay, well, you're so enthusiast. This is nice. I want to check this out. But no, you have to understand that this is very important. This is not tic-tac-toe. This is making contact, and you become an ambassador to the universe once you do it. It's very serious. And so we have to understand that in order to do that, we have to transcend this box reality of this world that we find ourselves engaging in, this pluralistic ignorance of this separation that most people find themselves clinging to, whether it's culture, whether it's ego, whether it's your character, whatever it is that implies separatism. None of it matters, because implicit within our oneness is that there is no collusion. There is no collusion. We are virtually so entangled together as one. We are inextricably connected, meaning that we can never free ourselves from one another. Get that. Think about that for a second. We are so entangled with one another, extraterrestrial, spiritual, whatever you want to call it. If you are alive, if you are awake, if you are intelligent, and if you are sentient, you possess what's called consciousness, and that makes you a part of the greater. And so what that means is that we're all connected. Now, trust me, if you are transdimensional, extraterrestrial, coming from vast civilizations across the universe, you understand this. You know this without a shadow of a doubt. And so this is why we have to teach this to people, because people have to understand that this topic is a very sensitive one, and I have the documents to prove all of this, because most people, I have to be careful on using the word ignorant, because ignorant is misunderstood. Ignorant is a word that means that you can be ignorant to anything. I'm ignorant to something.
Maybe uninformed.
Exactly. Uninformed. Yeah. Okay, uninformed. There are a lot of people who are uninformed when it comes to this whole UFO history. Why? Because it's not talked about at all. Alright? And you have to understand that throughout history, and I won't get into it because this topic is so extensive, I won't get into it. But you look at the history, you'll find out that we have had contact since the dawn of humanity and beyond. There are literally civilizations much older than us that have evolved faster than we have for a long time. And so we have been visited since the dawn of humanity. And, there has been evidence of this throughout history dating way back to the Sumerians and Mesopotamian days. So, Mesopotamian days with these beings coming down that they've made artifacts from and carvings on walls, calling them helpers. The only thing is that these helpers are not just in the Eastern world, or they're also in other places of the world, like Africa, like the Jodi, really helped me out, the Jodi tribe or something like that. There's the same stuff, where they're calling people the helpers, and they're coming down and they're teaching us how to farm. They're teaching us how to protect us from drought and everything else, and they're allowing us to evolve on our own without actually doing it for us.
Yes.
So,
that are working with Source.
Exactly. Exactly. They're working with Source, and this is something that people need to understand. Source is synonymous with God. You can call Source God, you can call it whatever you want, whatever you feel comfortable calling Source. Does not matter to me. But Source is or originate, and where we all come from, of course, I guess. But anyway, they're working with Source. So, yeah. All right. So, get that out of the way. So, but here we are in 2014. There's been a lot of history from Mesopotamian era on down through the Roman Ezekiel spinning wheel on down to modern day 2014. So there has been a lot of visitation here in the early, I would say, 30s through the 50s when we first started experimenting with nuclear technology. Now, this is a big one here, because at the same time we were experimenting with nuclear technology, believe it or not, we had the capability, literally, to take ET home. And I know this is a lot of people, but the fact is, one of the contract groups, Lockheed Skunk Works, owner on his deathbed, stated that we literally have the technology to take ET home. And so we have to understand that, any civilization that has not learned to coexist amongst one another in peace, but at the same time has been using these vast energy and propulsion systems that they've been extrapolating from places like Roswell and all over these crash sites. They've been using them as a jewel, a crown jewel, for weapons of war. And that instead of using them to liberate this world from unsustainable resources, currently responsible for polluting and, I don't want to say destroy, but I'll say destroy. Destroying our planet with nuclear, Fukushima power plant radiation, BP oil spills, and this other one that most people don't even think about, fuel emissions. That's really big, because in the 1800s there was only about 3 to 4 billion people, right? And this is around the time when combustion energy first came out. But here we are in 2014, there's upwards of 8 to 9 billion people, right? So that's a big, vast difference. These people don't want cars, and they don't want to get on the highway and build factories, and here we are. And so, one of the reasons why our government in the 1940s did not reveal the fact that we were alone, one, because they didn't know what they were dealing with. They didn't know exactly what this was. They were new to it too. And then two, we were just getting out of World War II. Cold War, Korean War, and then the Vietnam War, and so many wars. And so, people were trying to get a sense of a normal life again, and the last thing you want to do is sit this on the table and say, oh, by the way, you're not alone in this vast universe. we have the evidence in the fossils to prove it with the non-Homo sapien bodies. They weren't going to do it. Also, you have to understand that at the time, the United States had a monopoly on nuclear energy. All right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand that. We had a monopoly on nuclear energy. Nobody had it. It terrorized the world. It frustrated the Soviets and the Russians and the Chinese and all the Japanese when they could not wrap their brain around this atomic bomb that exploded and we were the first to drop on in Fukushima. Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Yeah. For quite some time we didn't have a monopoly on that, that's for sure.
Right, and now we have these countries now trying to get them, but that's another story. I have questions in the chat room if you don't mind me interjecting. If you don't mind me interjecting for a brief moment to get in. One, usually the those governmental conspiracies that are going on with the wishes and so forth. We'll get into that in a minute. That goes hand in hand with the scientific method, and that goes hand in hand with actually going out into the field and being able to reproduce results over and over again. I'm not going to deny anything, but what I will say, and I haven't even got to this yet, in 1953, there was a disinformation campaign launched by elements of the CIA, which specifically, and you can look this up, the panel, the Robinson panel, you can look this up.
Yeah.
Spy warfare, psychological warfare, where in the 1950s, and I have the documents to prove all of this, where it says that the motive operandi is being concentrated effort is going into understanding the modus operandi. That this subject matter is more important than the H-bomb. We have these documents, and it shows us that they were wanting to understand this technology, but at the same time they were wanting to lie to us about it. Why? Because they did not want to disclose something that they didn't want the Soviets to get. Because if obviously if atomic energy was off the table, then ET technology was too. That goes without saying. Okay? And other question that is that one is that if you don't mind me for just 1 second, what was that? Echo, really bad echo. Yeah. I don't know where that's coming from. Okay.
Yeah, that is weird. Yeah, I hear it too. Somebody needs to turn down their radio.
Yeah.
It's one of you guys.
Hey, me.
No, I know it's not you.
This one? Picking up the radio.
Yeah, it's one of the guys.
Well, I just kept the volume down, so I guess we can do it.
Is that better?
That helps. We're getting there. Don't feel like
Yeah, they're enjoying your discussion in the chat room, and they just had a few more questions.
Yeah. Another question that was in the chat room. Yeah, someone's got the I will talk on the phone. Hello? Hello? Yeah, I can repeat that. I could barely hear you.
Yeah, it was cut out.
There we go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds better now. Yeah. No, that ain't better.
Now. All right.
Why don't we cut the break and try to reconnect?
That's a good idea. Do you want me to hang up too?
Yeah, we'll all hang up and we'll all fall back.
Okay, that works.
All right.
I'm a ghost with
baby. What's up?
Hey.
Dad needs the bathroom. That's why it took us so long.
I needed a accompaniment in the bathroom. Yeah.
You needed a tinkle. She was thinking about that in the story about getting fondled and shit. So, you know.
Yeah, my secret. They're not supposed to tell.
We're talking about aliens tonight. We're getting into the whole physical theory of what's out there, and we did have a shitload of questions in the chat room, and we got through most of them. Some of them, just the surface stuff. Next question that we had is, why do aliens tend to abduct more of a lower social class society of America?
All right, I'll be glad to answer that question. Real quick, I just want to
ask
true? Are you asking, is that true?
Is that true?
The aliens unwillingly abduct people, is that what you're asking me? Because that's what you're asking me. The answer to that is no, but our military does. Because there's a PLF program going on where we have scientists that actually reproduce. And this is where it gets weird at. It just wasn't already weird in the past. Our government, by the way, has a program, PLF program, where they actually reproduce these. They're not, real, according to the documents. They don't have the documents. We're not going to get them. But according to what the documents say, these alien, these PLF program life forms is a part of actually this. I actually had touched on it, so we got hung up on the psychological warfare campaign launched early on in the 1950s, where our government was wanting to get some of these people off of the subject matter. They wanted to scare some people away from it. Why? Because you can't have an investigation and you can't start extrapolating technologies at the same time give people disclosure. So what's the way that you can get people away from the subject matter is by instilling fear inside of them. And so, contrary to what people know, they have to be cognizant of the intelligence and the capabilities that our government had at that time. Yes, they had ARVs, they had reproductive vehicles. And ARVs, well, these are not real alien crafts, but these are reproduction vehicles harnessing some different elements of free energy type of devices. Where they take some of these program life forms, and they do abduct some people that they know will get a lot of publicity from. There's been a couple of people know it that this has been done to. Why? Because they know that they were related to certain UFO communities that would actually try and document this. And the fact of the matter is, they put these little pellets, BB-sized pellets inside of the so-called abductee. And then they sit you back down, and then you go see a psychologist, and you talk about your traumatizing experience. But in fact, that never took place by a real extraterrestrial. How do we know this? Because when we're out in the field and we're making contact with these beings, none of them, they always know where we're always at. They always visit us, but they don't need pellets or scrap metal, primitive technology, to find out where you're at. If you're able to go across the vast universe, you don't need pellets or scrap metal or exotic metals to try and locate an individual. You can do that.
Right. That makes sense.
This is the lack of understanding that goes along with this whole UFO subculture. And who am I to say there's never been an abduction? There's no evidence of one. There's no evidence of a real, legitimate abduction that was unwillfully, other than a person same time. Correctly, there's some pellets, but hey, we can also prove that, that this was launched by our government to do this. And so virtually every UFO researcher or ufologist would be vulnerable to an attack like this because they would be virtually defenseless without having knowledge of those documents of the interest in doing it. And why would they do this? Well, that goes without saying because implicit within theory of UFO is a replacement to the current petro-energy infrastructure consisting of oil, coal, and fossil fuel. Also, it is the crown jewel for our military
development. Keep that in mind. That the United States wants to be the most powerful country in the world. And to what extent would they lie to us and withhold valuable deep black operations and projects in order to maintain aerial control and superiority? And this is what the EPs are all seeing. They're coming here and they're seeing all this going on here, and they're seeing how the people don't know about it, and they're seeing how the government is trying to portray them as this hostile invasion type simulation to come here and steal all of our resources. And that's just not the case. You know, I got to let you guys know, man, that that's not the case. You know, I'm out here in the field and we're making contact. And, you know, by the way, I'm going to let you guys hear this tonight. I have a phone call, a real. You can think what you want, but I have the video of the craft flying over my location. It's actually one of my first UFO sightings. It's one of three, actually, when I first got started in CE5. I had a UFO. I believe that they are originally from Arcturians. I had one of them to actually visit my location before I have a flyover. We call them flyovers. And then but I had something very exotic, something very different that most people I've never seen any cases of it, of a real phone call. But what it was a phone call, and the number doesn't exist. The number is displayed as my birthday, which I won't say over the line, but it was my birthday. I have that documentation available, and I also have the video of the crash that nobody has been able to deny. Nobody. And I forward this video out to top ufology. Nobody has gotten back with me and said that this is fake. Nobody. And I literally have the audio, and on this audio, it was a recorded, it was something like a bionic English transfer. It was kind of weird. The extraterrestrials actually told me that they understand that I have been trying to make contact with them, and that they will contact me personally shortly. So that's
a very beautiful message.
It's a very beautiful message, and they said that you are one of us and we love you. What did they mean by you are one of us? Once again, the ETs don't see superficial boundaries. They don't see division. You and this thing, you're either a part of this universal cosmic awareness, or you're a part of the problem. You're part of the fear. You're part of the separatism. And so after they said that, I basically clinged to the only thing that I knew that was tangible, and that was my camcorder. That's it. I might be going crazy, but my camcorder is not going to go crazy. Okay. Either I'm crazy, and this camcorder is not going to film anything, or I'm sane, and this camcorder is going to film a real craft, because the DT said that it was going to visit me. So what did I do? I filmed this craft that is flew over me, and by the way, this was not a satellite, because satellites don't shoot straight up into the sky. They also don't flash at you. They don't power up. And this is something that we experience out in the field, by the way. We get these power-ups a lot of times. Okay? So that's the whole reptilian thing, and that's the whole abduction thing, okay? That's unlawful abduction. They don't need to do that, by the way. All right? So we're out in the field. We're making contact. We're doing it primary. This isn't second-hand, subjective, armchair speculation, third-hand, fourth-hand, fifth-hand information. This is grassroots out going rubber meeting the road out there doing it, and this is not online speculation or regurgitating what somebody else said or, you know, popular subculture. This is straight up real deal Holyfield out in the field making contact, reporting back to the American people what we know. And we have to understand that this is a high deal of secrecy. There is a lot of interest in UFOs dealing with our government, and there is no extent that they would go to keep us from engaging in it. Why? Because no aspect of human life would remain unchanged if everybody gave their own self-disclosure. No aspect of life would remain unchanged. Nothing. Nothing. From the cars we drive to our jobs to the world peace, no more wars over unsustainable resources. Nothing would be the same. Okay? Nothing, including our spirituality aspect of the way we relate to one another. It would be better. Okay? So, this is a very sensitive topic. Alright? So yeah, that's the answer to that question. Any more questions?
they had a question. Go ahead.
Jodi, we can't keep talking at the same time.
No, I know.
Very good. But we did have one other question from Twister, and then we have another question from guest 32 or 3626. So the last question from Twister, which was a while ago, are aliens harboring in the oceans, and because it's commonly found that they're on some kind of water, and if so, why? I mean, I have my own theory on it, but I'd like to see what you guys have to say.
Well, it has been noted by various CV5 initiators that there's bases in many locations, some of which, some of the places that we actually go out and do contact, they have bases there. It's easy to make a base if you're interstellar by nature because of your technology, you have the ability to go through anything. And so you can go on ground, you can go on the water, and you can build bases way underground, places that are extremely, immensely hard to reach. We can build bases there. And so, yeah, they have bases here on Earth. Everywhere.
Excellent. Yeah. I always figured that maybe they were found coming out of, because there's a lot of sightings coming out of the oceans and so forth and so on. Just my theory is because they're trying to recreate the atmospheric pressure that they may be used to feeling on their own planet.
You said recreate the atmospheric pressure here. What was that question again?
Yeah. I mean, that's just my idea. I mean, there is a lot of claims of people seeing these spacecraft coming out of the ocean, and they're hanging out around water a lot. And I think maybe they might have these bases underneath water because, yeah, they're trying to recreate an atmospheric pressure that they may be used to on their own home planet.
I don't doubt that. Maybe they are. But what we do know is that they're not hostile. We do know that. And by the way, the government concludes that on their own without us. They said that to their own selves. But this is what I'm telling you. The grassroots CV5 movement, at least the CV5 initiative, we're saying that they're not hostile. We've been out in the field making contact for a very long time. We have not had any hostility whatsoever. But what we do always see is that the government always seems to find our location, and it's why these fighter jets are our location. Where they like to shoot at these UFOs that we vector in all the time. And you don't need my evidence. You can see this on your own. They do this all the time. And by the way, on that Robertson panel, there's an aspect of it that I need to read to you real quick because it actually talks about the urge to seek after these groups who are making contact. Why? Because they knew that they would be able to maybe test out some of their weaponry systems on these UFO crafts and hopefully render them inoperable so that they can have another Roswell or another Marvel to look at again. But there's always no aggression coming from the other end, They're not worried about their aggression, but obviously they're worried about our hostility. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Jodi, what was that other question?
Okay, the question that they have, and just to preface this, I'm very aware of the vibration that connects living things, and all living things, are connected form of consciousness. And I'm very much into meditation and the law of attraction, so I totally get what you guys are into and where you're coming from. We'll have to absolutely be talking about this later. One of the questions someone has is, when you have so many people wishing or praying or doing, affirmations for, different reasons, and they're getting what they wish for, whether it's through prayer or whether it's through, a law of attraction. But when they are getting what they are wanting and when they're, getting this positivity and they're getting what they wish for, do you think that it can affect the climate or something like that is a question that they have? And I said, well, I don't know if it can affect the climate, but they're saying that affirmation is, vibration, and it's very strong, when you really, really want something. And, what sort of impact, do you think that could have? Is there some sort of a reverse that happens with so many people, doing affirmations at the same time and getting what they want? Like, is there some sort of backlash, is what they're sort of asking?
No. To my knowledge, like I say, to my knowledge, there's absolutely no backlash, because I think that's the whole point of life. The whole point of life is just for us to affirm who we are. And in fact, that's what life is. Life is about evolving, and it's about learning who we are, and it's about embodying who we are, our highest self. And so, if this is what life is, then it can't be, consciousness is very smart. It's very complex. We can't fully understand consciousness within the constraints of this physical body. Can't do it. The mind can't handle the wonders or the information that our spirits can, handle. So it's not really up to us to really understand how it works, other than that we know it works. There's aspects of this consciousness that we can't really perceive yet in this body. But it works.
It's a good question. So I just wanted to put that out there to you guys. I couldn't see whether there would be any sort of a backlash, but I wanted to hear what you guys would say about it. Absolutely. So good answer.
Excellent. All right, so where does that leave us now, Jodi?
Where does that leave us now? Well, I don't think anybody else has any sort of, questions.
Cool.
From the.
Cool. I'll go back. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say, too, just for people that are out there, Jason and I read, a little bit of information about you, but I don't think before we sort of got into what you were doing that you guys really had a chance to sort of say, where you were from, or sort of how you got into this in the first place. You know what I mean? You sort of just jumped in, how you got into it. And also I wanted you to tell other people who might be interested, I know how I got interested in consciousness, but it isn't how it's not about me, but how other people around the country who might be interested could sort of get in touch with, this type of a group around the country, because I know that you have them.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Real quick, I'll try to be quick. It's very extensive. I'll try to be quick. Everything's extensive. My grandfather was a U.S. Marine during World War II. He was in a foxhole.
Wow.
During World War II in Okinawa, Japan. Fighting bravely for his country, of course. When sometime, I don't know if it was then or later, a bomb got dropped and scrap metal actually struck him in the thigh. So he was discharged honorably in 1945. And, that was his story. And so my father, of course, being fond of the Army, I'm sorry, I'll tell you quick about my Uncle Graves, who was his brother-in-law. He served in the Korean War, which was after World War II. And so everybody knows about, everybody was in for war, so. And so then you get my father, he actually served in the U.S., National Guard. And he actually got his active duty when after Martin Luther King was assassinated, the riots were breaking out heavily in Chicago. In fact, it was one of the worst spots, of course. And
wow.
He got active duty in Chicago, and he was sent out to kind of pacify an area with a lot of his, colleagues, of course.
Oh, that was rough. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you have me. Of course, I wasn't in the war. Actually, got into the medical field. I do physical therapy for a living. And so, but my father had a sighting in Chicago sometime after he sat down from, all of that, developing a life for himself. He had a sighting,
okay.
Where there was people over the CB radios of Chicago communicating with one another. Hey, you guys see this big UFO in the sky? Everybody was saying, yeah, what is that? We don't know what that is. And so my father went right up under the UFO and he did something with his CB radio. I don't know, he turned it up. And as soon as he did that, the UFO shot straight into the sky. I don't know why. But this is what he told me. And so he said later on, he said he'd seen that same craft come back down when he was at home. And he said the craft, as it was coming down, actually accidentally touched the building. And so once it touched the building, sparks went everywhere. And the building just kind of caught on fire, and the UFO shot up in the sky and was gone. But anyway, since then I've been into UFOs. And so I've always ironically thought UFO sightings were rare, but the fact is they're not rare. They're here all the time. And so I got into consciousness inadvertently through following my own intuition with wanting to follow my highest realization in life, following my instincts, and then, of course, being into UFOs, and then I stumbled upon CE5. As I told you, consciousness is the number one big thing with CE5, and so I started experimenting with meditation, and then boom, I got sucked into the meditation and the consciousness and all of that. So that's how I got into it. I don't know if Neil wants to it.
Sure. Yeah, how I got into it actually was I used to do paranormal investigations, and then it got to the point where kind of some bad things happened. So I was looking for something new, and I saw an episode of Paranormal State on A&E where they actually go to a place called the Estate Ranch, and it's in Trout Lake, Washington. And sure enough, there's a guy named James Gillen who has these claims of UFOs flying over his ranch all the time. Of course, they show some videos of the ships, and it just from something inside of me says, wow, something about this seems really legit.
I saw that.
Yeah. Wound up, I got to go to the Estate Ranch. Let's see, it's been about a year now, and I was blown away. But not only did I get to see a couple of ships, but it opened me up to what this was really about, and it's about spiritual healing and humanity and the earth. And it was just a very, very opening experience for me, and from then on I've just been hooked on it, basically. What equipment do you typically use for something like that?
So here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because this is a very open, grassroots initiative, CE5. So that means that there are a lot of people doing this, but there aren't a lot of people sharing ideas. We have to share knowledge and ideas with everybody. And what I need everyone to understand is that some of the same equipment that we take out into the field, like EMF readers, thermal readers, and different magnometers, stuff like that, to go out and test different anomalies to see if there's anything around us. Because in fact, there are temperature changes. There's so much phenomenon around us. We have to be careful with that, because we have a government that's actually looking for where we're doing CE5 at. And so some of the same equipment that we're using, they use the same but very more advanced, like electromagnetic readers, they're able to detect electric equipment. And once they find this electrical equipment, they say, oh, this is where they're doing CE5 at. And so there was actually, you can look this up on Greer's page. What's the website? SeriousDisclosure.com or or something.
Yeah, cstudy.org.
Yeah, well, they were actually making contact. We know this. They were making contact when they had one of these crafts come in. There was actually like a bulldozery effect of one of these EMP-style resonance weaponry systems coming out and trying to find us. And also, these weaponry systems, we don't know, but they can probably cause cancer. Okay, this is something else that we're dealing with in the CE5 community, is a lot of these resonance, do you think they care if they fire these weapon systems down and it accidentally touches us? No, they don't care. But we think that sometimes it can possibly cause cancer if they fire one of these things directly down and it touches you. I'm not sure, but we think so. So this is why we need people to understand that when you're going out and making contact, and I know you go on YouTube and I know you go online and you see people using these lasers, and you see people using all this equipment, and I'm not going to tell you not to use any equipment, but be very cognizant that there's one thing that these intelligence can't pick up on, and that's consciousness. But these ETs can pick up on it. And so consciousness needs to be understood as the one safe thing that we can use when we want to make contact without other third parties, you know? So, you know, yeah, we start out using equipment, but we need to we need to learn and look at history and look at from our predecessors' mistakes, and we need to apply that to the way that we go out. We need to understand that the less equipment is actually the better.
Yes, be very cautious with equipment.
Yeah.
Right.
That's better.
Yes, sir. Like I say, we bring flashlights. We try to leave all of our equipment off, you know, like camcorders. And that's it. Camcorders, flashlight. That's it. We don't need anything else.
That's cell phone.
Wow.
That's it. Because when you get into the anatomy and physiology of consciousness and how it's all one, then you realize that these ETs, which understand consciousness as well, they're able, for one, and if you've been making contact, by the way, if you've been making contact for some time now, then you really don't even, I don't want to say anything wrong here, but we've had sightings before we even sat down to even do meditation. We've had daytime sightings where crafts come over our group and split into two separate objects. And this is not just us, this is the same MUFON report. MUFON reported the same phenomenon way back a couple of months ago when we were going out making contact. They reported seeing the same thing happen to them. So you know we're not making this up. There's two different corroborating sources saying that there's this white beam coming across the sky, big bright HD light, and then splitting into two. So we had direct contact with this beam or either craft. It was come directly over our group and split into two crafts. And then while that was happening, that was the first daytime sighting. But then after we did the meditation, which I'm sure they were listening to, I'm sure that they were in with the meditation. Towards the middle of the meditation, we had three back-to-back sightings. We had the craft that fly directly over the group, and as it was flying, disappeared, but it was still coming, came in another direction, left to right, and then it came from another opposite direction. And so we had direct contact with this being, the craft. So, you know, we know that we don't need a lot of equipment. We don't need lasers either, by the way, because once you shoot that laser up, they have satellites that can perceive, especially if it's a high-powered laser.
Yeah.
They have satellites designed to pick up on these lasers. Why? Because, you know, they have to have that. Because, you know, we're not living this war mentality. You know, we got to have everything picked up on lasers, everything.
Well, that's interesting, too. I mean, yeah, I get what you guys are saying about that, but, you know, this is the thing. You know, like, we do a lot of paranormal research also, and, you know, we're always looking for things that we can collect and pieces of evidence that we can play back, and, you know, I guess that you guys get a lot of photographs and things, too, of the crafts and things that you have sightings of, right? I mean, some. You guys get some.
Yeah,
I go on the MUFON site. I mean, I follow MUFON. I go on, you know, MUFON Watch and MUFON site, and in fact, I take some stories from the sightings on there as well that we sometimes cover here on the show. But you know, would it be, I mean, possible? I mean, how could you collect an EVP through telepathy? That's the thing. You know, and I understand telepathy. I will tell you that I am I'm clairvoyant. I'm a medium, you know, fourth generation in my family. I actually practice sending and receiving telepathically with my daughter since she was at a very young age. And we may have listeners out there who may not understand that or may not to me, and I want you to hold this envelope. And she's out on the couch right now. She'll be 21 in January, and she would be happy to confirm this to anyone that would talk to her on Facebook. I'm sure. although she probably wouldn't want some of her friends to know because she doesn't go around telling everyone. But she would sit there, and I would say, baby, I want you to tell me what's in this envelope. Tell me what's in this. Tell me what you see in your mind. Or I want you, here's a pad of paper and a pencil. I want you to draw on this paper anything that comes into your mind. You know what I'm saying? That is in this envelope. So I understand, you know, we can talk more about that, but this is the thing. Like, that's something, you know, I would have her draw it. It would be tangible. And then we would open the sealed envelope, and I would show her what was on the picture, and we would just compare it. You know, but how can you guys collect, like, the messages or the voices, you know, through telepathy?
I just say, like, the group member collaboration, saying the same thing when you're with you see the same thing and just start describing back and forth, just collaborating. Exactly. With your third eye.
Oh, I see. So you guys have several, okay, so I see what you're getting at. You guys will have, like, a group, and so maybe several of you could even try to, like, write it down, even, what you're getting, and compare. I mean, what about something like that?
Yeah, let me say this real quick. That process that you were just talking about, that putting the picture in the envelope, we do actually do something like that in contact training, and we call it remote view. It's when we actually go into this. I'm into that. Yeah, I'm into it. It's when we go into this meditative state, and we become cognitively aware of all things, and we focus our attention on the directive or what we're trying to do, whether that's find out what's in the box, or in their case, in an envelope, or because ultimately when we go out in the field, we're doing remote viewing, because we're remote viewing space. So we're actually seeing how many ETs there are out there, where they're at, you know, are they next to us, are they out in space, and we're connecting with them. And that's a part of, that's also what we do to perfect our conscious and meditative skills. So yeah, we're very familiar with that, and it's funny that you brought that up, because that's one of the things that we do to help train a lot of people who are interested in perfecting their CB5 skills. We actually
very difficult to do. I've taught intuitive development courses over the years, and that's one of the topics that I cover is remote viewing. And of course, I'm very aware that the government has had remote viewing covertly, and you know, people are somewhat aware of it for many years. Through several of the wars, you know, they've used remote viewing as a spy technique, and I actually spoke about I spoke about this on a radio show recently, and we actually did a remote viewing experiment over the air, which was fun. And you know, the show wasn't quite long enough to get into it as much as we really would have liked to. My friend Annette had joined me on the show, and she actually did really great with it. And although I can talk about it, and I'm great with helping other people learn about it, it isn't one of my personal strengths. I really wish that it was. Sending and receiving, I'm good with. Remote viewing, not so much. I wish I was better at it. And I would love to get my hands on some decent copies of some of the government training programs for that course. And I know that they're out there, for sure.
Yeah, if I come across it, I'll let you know, of course. It's so hard running across these documents, because for one, they don't want to have them, and then as soon as we get them, we got to try to get them. Yeah. So we have to get them out to everybody. So everybody can have it.
There's some it's hard to get, and there's some information out there, but it's a fascinating topic, and I wasn't aware that you guys were trying to use remote viewing, so I think that's very interesting. And, you know, for those of you who aren't so familiar with remote viewing, it's, you know, to go somewhere in your mind's eye, and to the point where if I would give you, for instance, on one of the radio shows that we did an experiment on, you know, we actually gave a location, an address, if you will. Like, I won't give you mine. No, it's not going to happen. But we would give you, for instance, Jason's address, and you would have to go in your mind and actually picture yourself walking there and approaching there and actually write down what you think you might see exactly along the way and see how close you would come to the point where what's in the driveway, what bushes do you see, what's along the street, what's next door, do you see a fence, what does the door look like, what happens as you enter the building, is it a house, is it an apartment, you don't know. And see how close you really get, and you would be amazed at the things that people really do come up with. And I think it's amazing that you guys are actually looking out into the cosmos.
Yeah. It is amazing.
That's fantastic.
It is amazing, but there's so much more to this topic. I mean, that I can't even begin to convey some of our experiences. Remote viewing, we do that. But there's something else here going on. And I don't know what to call it, but these beings actually contact us as well. They contact us. And one of their favorite times to come, we notice this, is just at the time when the sun's going down. Because for some reason, this is a very popular time for people to go out, or either maybe it has to do with the Lagrange spots that they're sitting in the space. I don't know. But it's a very popular time right before the sun goes down. And so we know we've actually had contact for 3 days when we went to Amarillo, Texas, because we went out to investigate the dancing blue light. And that's a hot spot. That's a hot spot out there in Amarillo. Well, I'll be glad to tell you that actually Amarillo is where Lockheed Skunklets. I'm not sure they were going out testing some of their military planes, and so we have a whole swarm of ETs visiting Earth, and they're all working together. By the way, none of them they all know about each other. And, various different tasks, different, races or civilizations have different tasks. One of them is to keep up with our military and to make sure that they don't do anything they're not supposed to do, like, for one, blow up the moon, because by the way, they would want to put nukes on the moon. But make sure that they don't do anything crazy. Because like I told you, we have that ability to travel into space now. But we also have the ability to harbor atomic bombs. So they're watching us, and they're keeping up with us peacefully, not hostile, peaceful. And so a lot of the sightings that people see are from these extraterrestrials flying in their craft, watching us, studying our government, for our protection and their protection. And so that's what some of the sightings out there. On our way out to Amarillo, Texas, it's actually like a 5-hour drive from Denver. Okay. We like to get into what's called contact nexus. It's when we dive deep into consciousness. It's when we actually dive deep into this consciousness. Is this a part of your meditation? Well, no. This is actually just the passing of time. It takes us like 5 hours to get there. So what we do a lot of times, we might listen to some tones. We might listen to tones in the car while we're driving there. And while we're driving, we're focusing on the tone and we're becoming aware of our awareness. This is where you meet this cosmic awareness, when you become aware of your own awareness. And you observe your breaths. Ask yourself, who is it that is watching your breath? Who is it that this individual is able to see, is able to perceive its own existence? Who is this individual? And once you find that self, you dive deep within it, and that's that consciousness, that universe is totally within. And once you dive deep into that consciousness, you have that ability to become expanded and omnipresent at one time. And when you do that, you become a clear medium for these extraterrestrials. That, by the way, this answers your question earlier, they were actually tapping into it while we were driving, because I kept getting these images in my mind of these somewhat really short beings, kind of bald-headed, but blue looking. And I didn't understand anything about it at first, but I kept getting it. But when I mentioned it to Will, and this is how you can corroborate, remote viewing, is when somebody has the exact same picture that you had, because MIA are very random, by the way. They're very random.
Sure.
So my mouth dropped when Will told me that he saw two beings as well, and that they were blue, and that they were also short.
I love it.
And so this is how my mouth dropped to the floor, when we both knew that we had the same astral projection in the same blue being. And so, but there was something else. One of these beings had antennas, and so we figured out, man, these beings don't have antennas. They're using conscious interface technology. See? They have that. Remember I was telling you about conscious interface technology? They have that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's conscious assisted technology where they can actually communicate with us better through consciousness, but we have to also meet them halfway.
Well, let me ask you this.
So we have to pick up on it.
So, do you think ever, I mean, no, I know that they both appeared to you guys in the same way, and that's cool, and that they're using the interface technology, and I get that. But do you ever think that they just try to appear in a way that they think that you would want to see them, or that you would understand seeing them? You know what I mean? How they really look, right? What do you think?
Actually, I think they do have that ability. They can actually have that ability. I'm not gonna lie. I think they have that ability. Yeah. But I feel like as far as materialization and, actually materializing in the physical flesh, that's not something I think anybody has mastered yet.
No, just in your mind, I meant, like, just the way you were seeing them through your just the way that you guys were getting their imaging is what I meant. Don't you think so? I
kind of think that this particular time that they were in their class, I don't think that they were trying to appear a certain way. I think that they were because what we were doing is that we were oming, we were actually using tones to facilitate love, peace, and at the same time we were connecting to them and everything else.
Okay.
So they did not have any reason to try and, they know, they're able to sense our vibration. They know that there's no fear there. So this is the big thing. If there's fear, they won't come. Nobody can be fearful and they'll not show up. You waste your group's time. If somebody's fearful, you cannot go out with the spirit of fear. And so we're beyond fear. They don't have that reason to try and appear to us a certain way to conform to our beliefs or fears. Fear, that's the fear-based people. We're not fearful. They just pretty much appear to us, like they are, mostly.
Yeah. Well, you guys are more excited for them to appear than afraid, of course. I mean, I think that's, yeah.
And
I get it.
Feel the love, joy, and bliss just coming off these beings because they're working at such a high vibration. You feel when you're working with them. It feels very good. It's just an overwhelming sense of love when you're working with them.
Yeah, and so they send us a lot of times. By the way, there's an aspect of CE5 that people are missing out on because actually, and I know this is a lot of people who are just learning about CE5, but I got to be honest, man. These ETs actually become part of your family because they actually check in with you. They actually want to make contact with you sometimes. Sometimes you have to pay attention to your body sensations because they have that ability to consciously tap into your consciousness and give you a tap. And I've become aware of this. And when I'm getting tapped a lot of times, I'll say, oh, they're here. And I look up and sure enough, there's two crafts floating above us like they were in the willow. One of which actually flashed back at us when we asked to flash. Yeah. So they actually contact us and tap us in our mind's eye sometimes. They let us know that they're there. But these ETs become a part of your family. And, you have to train yourself to be ready for that. Because when you give them that conscious, admission, you give them that conscious permission. See, that's what this is, conscious permission. You're not telling them totally. You're consciously saying it's okay for me to communicate, it's okay for you to access my consciousness, which is everything. And, they become a part of your life. And they can feel what you feel. And they can feel when you're down and out. And we've had all this stuff to happen because as soon as we leave the field, Will has a very strong connection to nature. And he really enjoys making contact. And he got kind of upset when we had to leave. It was a very beautiful location, multi-million-dollar estate, actually. We had to leave it, and I was kind of sad about it. And so he's kind of saying, that, we have to come back to this reality where people don't even know the truth. A lot of them are fret from it, and you have to go through this long explanation of why it's important. And so here we are back in this reality. And as soon as he said that, we got a flash bulb, and I didn't even see it. He saw it, and then he pointed to it. I looked, and then he flashed again for us. And then one of our other colleagues, Nate, came outside his house, and he saw it. And then his girl came out, and then she saw it. So everybody saw it. And so these are very well aware of us and what we're going through that year.
I'll tell you guys, too, I believe you guys that you saw that. I've told this story on this show before, before I ever even met you guys or talked to you guys. When I was a young girl, first of all, my dad was in the Navy. He was an air traffic controller in the Navy, and he saw lots of things. And so, and I heard that since I was a kid. So I've always believed that there was something out there. And, I'm one of those people who believes that. And when I was a little girl, and my dad was on the CB radio, too, coincidentally, we pulled over to the side of the road in Central Florida, and the whole family got out. Me, my mom, my little sister, myself, and my dad made us all get out by the side of the road. We're way out in the country, and we all stood there looking up in the air, and there was 4 orange lights up there moving in a very odd way. And my dad made us all get up there and all stand out there and look at it, and we sat out there for quite a while. And my dad was like, "Look, that's it. You see that? Do you see that?" And I'm telling you, I never forgot it. Ever forgot it. And my sister never forgot it. And I don't care who believes me. I don't care. I saw it, and that was it. Once yeah, it was cool. It was wild.
Once you have that sighting, and this is what people need to understand, it becomes a part of your own conscious database. Once you see that craft in your mind's eye, once you see it with your physical eyes, it becomes a part of you, to where that whenever you go into meditation, you can contact those beings and you can ask them to come again. Because once again, once you're traveling through space-time, there is no time, by the way. Time is something that we got to get out of the concept of.
Yeah.
If you're traveling through space-time, there's no time. So once you have a sighting, you can contact those beings anytime. And if once they become aware that you are aware of that, then they'll want to contact you. So in your mind's eye, all you have to do is visualize that sighting, and you can actually go back to that space-time reality when you were there, and then you can actually speak to them.
I've done it many times. I've visualized it many times. I've told people about it, and I've had some other very strange things happen to me over the years. But I'll tell you guys about it, and I'll tell you guys about it another time, because otherwise it'll take up the rest of the show, and we only have 10 more minutes. So, Jason might have a few more questions, so I'll tell you guys about it later, for sure.
Yeah, one main thing I want people to understand how important this is. I mean, this is done with the progression of humanity. It's one of the most greatest discoveries, the most denied, the greatest discoveries of our day that haven't changed. And so there was a wise man named Einstein that once stated that condemnation without investigation is the height of stupidity. So for you to go out and you deny something without even investigating it, without even looking at the documentation, the evidence, the repeated scientific method of CD5, able to recreate the same outcome over and over again, it would take a very, very narrow-minded individual to still believe that we're alone in the universe, and also to deny that which is evident in front of your own eyes. It's very important that people understand that this is a grassroots movement taking place, and right now I'm going to give you some links for you to look up. One is etcontact.com. And this is a whole network of social people, even in your state. Right now, you can look it up. All you have to do is sign in, and you can find people in your area who's actually making contact. This is an app that they created the people who make contact go on, and we can see that there's hundreds of thousands of people all over the world that are making contact. Why? Because our government has failed us. There's no situation where I see our government coming clean about this. It's going to have to be the people. And so this has already been presented to Congress in 2001 by Dr. Stephen Greer, where now it's in the upwards of 700 government officials, all testifying their involvement in this cover-up. You know, whether it's NASA airbrushin' UFO pictures out of various photos, or whether it's the Navy with radar papers showing craft moving at thousands of miles per second, then turning on the right angle. The evidence is there, and then, you know, a guy in Mitchell, who's told that, you know, if he say anything about this, his family would be killed, and, you know, this goes on, and then, you know, any broad-minded individual, you know, that has to conclude that this is real, and that it's dealing with the new world. It's dealing with free energy. It's dealing with world peace. It's dealing with stepping into our rightful role as intelligent beings of life. It's dealing with all of that, but the only problem is we have to shift this world. We have to shift this world off a level of consciousness, you know, as it fits. And that's not an easy task. This is why I didn't see our initiative. We've engaged in this side project of community outreach, where we never talk about extraterrestrials. We always first talk about this unifying field that unites all of creation and sentience together in this unifying field of consciousness. This is the preliminary understanding before making contact.
Now, let me ask you, and I know we're going to have to wrap up the show in a minute, but do you guys get a lot of people that will say to you when you're talking about that, do they draw a comparison between what you're saying and the Celestine prophecy?
Well, you're gonna have to have us on here for another talk show. Hopefully soon, because
I'll take that offline with you later. Okay.
Yeah, because you start getting into Emperor Constantine, and you start talking about the Book of Revelation. You start talking about all this fear that's instilled in the people. That's not really based off history; it's just based off motive.
Yeah. So you must you must get a few questions like that. Then I'm going to take that as a
I have to go down that road.
All right.
I have to go down that road quite a bit.
I figured you might.
Before we get off, I gotta say this real quick before we get off. I have an audio that I want you to listen to. If you want to, you don't have to.
Wait a minute. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah.
Well, keep talking while I'm looking for it. Let's see.
So I guess I'll just say while you're looking for it, if you want to find me or Jason, you can find us on the Ghost Chat Radio fan page on Facebook.
All right, here we go. This is a phone call. This is actually from one of my very first beginnings of C5. I had a phone call by I Want Extraterrestrial telling me that they want to make contact. And if anybody wants to see the video, all you got to do is go to YouTube. It's entitled CE5 Contact, and it's going to be in night vision. And if you hang with it for a little while, you're going to see this white craft fly directly overhead and then shoot straight up into the sky. So, but before that sighting, I had this phone call. So this phone call. Okay, it says unable to play during call. I'm sorry. I can't play it. Can't play it during phone call. But what I can do is I can email it to you. I can make it available for anybody who wants to hear it.
Why don't you go ahead and let them know where they can find you on Facebook so that they can, you know what I mean? You can post that on your page or your website really quick. Yeah.
My name is Roman Cortez Hines. I'm on Facebook under Roman Cortez Hines. Also, if you want to get in touch with the Denton CE5 Initiative, it's Denton CE5 Initiative on Facebook. All right? That's how you can get in contact with me and everybody else on this in Denton. Denton CE5 Initiative.
Okay, and if you can't find him, you can get a hold of us on the Ghost Chat Radio fan page, and we will definitely put you in touch with them. No problem. You can find me under Joe Hans on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and Facebook, JOHAUNTS, or Jodi Smith, Jodi Johan Smith, and of course, Jason Stanton on Facebook as well. Jason? Yeah. We'll be back Monday and Tuesday night with more amazing guests for you.
Oh, every week we have amazing guests.
Yeah.
Yeah, we care for the fucking community, I'm telling you.
Yes, we do. Oh, and don't forget, we forgot about dumbass trivia. We should do a Monday and Tuesday. It was good. You guys were awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. And I'm going to be in touch with both of y'all for sure.
Well, we hope that we can come back soon. Maybe we can just kind of talk about some of those things that you would.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that'd be very cool. But you guys were a lot of fun. I bet you're going to get a lot of questions too from the listeners.
Yes.
All right.
Excellent. So, well, once again, I would be in contact with you guys, and hopefully in the future we can have you back on. And and then for a lot more.
Yep, we hope that we can get back on soon. And once again, guys, if you guys are interested in making contact, visit www.pastthecontactconferences.com. This is going to be our next conference. It's going to be in Roswell, New Mexico. It's going to be very exciting. We're going to make contact in Roswell. Believe it or not, people in Roswell don't even know about this guy. Can you believe it? www.stardustconferences.com, and you'll see that we have a conference coming up soon in 2015. And visit us on Facebook, Didn't See 5 Initiative. My name is Roman Cortez Hines, and this is Real Wire. Everyone.
Excellent. Well, until next week, everyone, we shall check you all out later.
All right, guys. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Jodi and Jason. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Have a good night.
You too.